Educational context, but also in industry training, there are multiple things to learn, or separate aspects of a given task. And our intuition often is, well, we'll work on one of those till people have it. We'll practice it till we've got that, then we'll move on to the next thing, and then we'll move on to the next. And in fact, during the learning process, that does look good because people improve rapidly under those conditions. But if instead of doing that, you interleave the instruction on these different tasks, you do a little bit on one, then you shift to another, then you come back to another, you go to a third one. What seems almost like it would be create confusion, and in some sense does temporarily, is associated with better long-term retention. Now, the theories for why that is are being researched now, but one of the notions is that when you interleave instruction, you more effectively build up a higher level representation of how the separate aspects of what are being learned interrelate to each other in kind of a higher order framework that keeps things more accessible over a longer period of time. In general, people tend to think that, well, learning is good, and learning is a matter of kind of building up something in your memory. Forgetting's bad. Forgetting's a matter of like losing some of what you built up. But it's nowhere near that simple in the case of human learning and memory, and in some ways, quite the opposite. The very conditions that cause forgetting enhance subsequent learning. So one of the ways that comes up in our research is this, what I've come to call desirable difficulties. Varying the conditions of learning, spacing instead of massing, interleaving the separate things to be learned rather than blocking them. All of those things produce forgetting during the acquisition process, but then they enhance long-term learning. And it's very unintuitive because very often people in charge of training or instruction, what they see is the progress during instruction, during the acquisition of skills and knowledge. And things that are like blocking practice, keeping conditions constant and predictable, doing all your training in one context, those things appear to make people learn much more rapidly. But in fact then, when you look at what's really the goal of education, long-term recall, transfer of knowledge to new situations, those conditions do not support long-term retention. Whereas introducing these desirable difficulties, variations, spacing, interleaving, there's a whole set of them, they appear to create challenges, difficulties, slow down the learning process, but then in fact they enhance long-term memory and retention.